All right, welcome everyone to Ask Bucky Unfiltered, Campus and Visitor Relations Webcast. Today I have with me some alumni, and I'll have them introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Kylie. I graduated from UW-Madison in May of 2019 with a degree in rehabilitation psychology, and I am currently earning my master's in nursing at DePaul University in Chicago.
Hi everyone, my name is Logan. I also graduated in May of 2019. I have a degree in journalism, strategic communications, and reporting, and I currently work as a digital content editor for Channel 3000/News 3 Now. It's the local CBS affiliate here in Madison.
And hi, my name is Brian Tracy. I too graduated last year in May, and I had two majors, one in actuarial science and one in risk management insurance out of the business school. And currently I'm an analyst at Deloitte Consulting in Minneapolis.
Awesome. I love all the paths you all take, like kind of going into staying local in Madison, going off to more school, and going into the industry world. So I think when looking at what I, as an admitted prospective student, wanted to hear was like the opportunities at UW. So could you all talk a little bit about what opportunities you had at UW that helped you reach where you're at today?
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in right away. I know for sure one of the really formative things for me was joining the Daily Cardinal, one of the two student newspapers, which actually UW is sort of unique in that sense that we do have two student newspapers, all completely student run. I ended up joining the Daily Cardinal the second semester of my freshman year, which I was then a part of for pretty much the remainder of my student career. And that was definitely a huge just sort of push into what actual reporting is like. A lot of differences from that compared to what my job actually is now, but I think that definitely built a very strong foundation for me and sort of helped me sort of learn the ropes on just a very basic sense beyond my education, but also just really helped me connect with other future journalists who are now sort of spread all across the state, the Midwest, the country as well. So that was definitely sort of the first thing that was a huge change in my sort of college trajectory, I guess. And then from there, just other student orgs. I was really heavily involved in the Wisconsin Union Directorate's Publications Committee. It's one of the several sort of different clubs underneath the Wisconsin Union Directorate, publishing a bunch of different magazines, all student run, once a semester. And so that was just another really great experience to, again, sort of get that hands-on experience outside of the classroom. Obviously, I'm sure all of you could probably attest to the hands-on experience that you get inside of the classroom with different projects and collaborative things that you're working on, regardless of the area of study. But I think that sort of stepping out of that environment and finding different little pockets throughout campus is really a hugely beneficial part of the experience. And it definitely was sort of a foundational thing for myself.
Yeah, for me, I definitely want to kind of go off of these student organizations. Coming into Madison, I had a lot of different interests. I knew I was interested in healthcare, but what I wanted to do, I wasn't really sure of. And so I actually met with my advisor all the time. Like, she's probably wondering why I was always making appointments, but I met with her all the time to talk over kind of different interests that I had. And she recommended that I look at some of the orgs for like pre-health associations. So I went to some intro meetings for a nursing association, for a PT and an OT association, because those were kind of located in my interest. And they talked about the programs, and I was able to kind of narrow down what my interest was. And, you know, I found this passion for nursing that I didn't quite know I had while I was in my undergrad. And so having all those clubs available to me while I was a student was really beneficial to helping me kind of decide what my, you know, now life path is.
For me, I would say getting to where I am today, two things come to mind. The first being student orgs, and the second being the professional services that they provide. So definitely took advantage of career advisors who kind of basically hold your hand, as daunting it can be, going through the recruiting process. And then especially the career fairs are really awesome. And that's how I got my internship both after sophomore year, after junior year, and then that second internship turned into the full-time job that I'm working now. So that was something that not only for my program, the actuarial program, it was really nice, but the business school has multiple career fairs and the entire university has almost, a ridiculous amount of career fairs. And I think what's really unique about UW that's really cool is, at least compared to other schools, where you go after college is a wide variety of locations. So I have friends that are in New York, Chicago, California, Seattle, down south. My internship after sophomore year was in Louisville, Kentucky. So I think that's kind of a nice benefit of going to UW is the recruiters that come to UW are from across pretty much all industries, and then really anywhere in the country or outside of the country, you can find a job or find at least an internship or some sort of experience that you can do there. And then going back to student organizations, two that I was pretty involved with was one being Alpha Kappa Psi. I know Jinan and Logan probably heard about it a lot back when we were tour guides, but that's how I met a lot of my friends. We were definitely a close-knit family within the business school, and then also I learned a lot professionally and a lot of leadership skills through that because I was able to hold positions throughout my time there. So very grateful for AK Psi. I'll plug it here. And then the other one being Badger Volunteers, which I was a group leader for, I think, 5 semesters. And this kind of connects to Logan's point about there's so much you can learn even outside the classrooms. And so through Badger Volunteers, you go out into the community and you get to meet people that you normally wouldn't meet during your time at UW. And I credit so many of my current soft skills to doing that, just learning how to interact with people that are different from you. So that's another one I definitely recommend. It's a lot of things that just pushes you out of your comfort zone. And again, I kind of attribute a lot of my communication skills and problem solving skills to my time as group leader.
Awesome. I think as a current student right now, I'm definitely appreciating like the communities I have with my student organizations and with my career advising. I'm an LNS, so there's a Success Works there. So I think that's pretty cool too. So like the idea is like every college has their own advising service. And there was something else I was going to say. I can't think of it right now, so we're just going to go on with the conversation. So what is one piece of advice you would give to an admitted student at UW or a prospective student that's planning to apply?
I guess my first bit of advice for specifically admitted students, partially this is self-serving advice so I can live vicariously through them. Join every single organization that you even have the slightest bit of interest in. Looking back, especially a year plus removed from college at this point, there are so many different groups that I wish that I would have put the time into and joined in different levels of involvement. But I think that really is one really important thing to go into your college career sort of having in mind. You can always drop out of organizations. You don't have to be the head of every single student org that you're in. I just think that taking the time, especially in those first couple semesters that you're on campus or taking classes in whatever format that may be, I think it's really an invaluable experience to sort of test the waters, see what you want to do. I mean, when I first got to UW, my intention was to major in astrophysics, and I ended up with a major in journalism. So I very, very heavily credit that to joining the Daily Cardinal and sort of getting that hands-on experience and sort of testing my interest a bit and sort of jumping out of my comfort zone a little bit. And yeah, I just think that there are so many different organizations to take advantage of that you don't want to be the sucker like me who looks back with a regret, upset that you didn't join X, Y, and Z organization. So that's definitely my number one bit of advice.
For myself, what I was grateful for at my time at UW-Madison is that I was able to fit in classes outside of my major. to take. And so I think this would be one of my biggest advice for admitted students and prospective students is I recognize that not every major allows the flexibility if you have a set plan, but if you're able to explore classes that don't fit in, I think it's really interesting, and you get to explore a lot of your interests that you didn't know you had. So I took a FIG, or a first year interest group, my first semester, and I explored gender and sexuality in South Asia, and I took Hindi. Now, that had nothing to do with nursing, and I don't use the Hindi anymore, but it was a really cool opportunity that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And, I thought about exploring it more. I took Hindi for 3 years, and I now have kind of a skill set that I can talk about when I go into interviews. And so I think if you have the flexibility in your schedule to take these classes, I think that'd be my biggest advice, to try to fit things in, and especially a first year interest group. I think those are a super cool opportunity that are offered. I hope they're still offered, right?
Yeah, they are. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also took a first year interest group and loved it. I'm still in close contact with the majority of the other students that were in my FIG. And sort of contrary to Kylie's, mine was sort of in line with my major. I took a reporting on climate change first year interest group. So a reporting class, a geography class, and an environmental studies class, sort of all weaving together. But yeah, to have those opportunities and that sort of miniature community built into your first year experience, I think is incredibly valuable, and definitely something that I would praise until I die. It's an incredible program.
I've heard nothing but good things about the first year interest group, so that I think that's one of my regrets, is like I didn't find the time to do one of those. But kind of going off of Kylie's point of like taking classes, for me it's harder to fit in like an extra 3 or 4 credit class, but something I've really tried to do is take a dance class every semester. So I've taken West African dance, I've taken hip hop, and I've taken Pilates. And you'd be surprised as a STEM major, the amount of other STEM majors there too that are like also looking for the same thing as me, is like
de-stress.
Yeah, like de-stress and get away from the chem and bio buildings or the engineering side of campus. So yeah, I recommend that too.
Yeah, I had a friend who did, I think it was an Italian food and culture, maybe FIG. And then, like so she did it freshman year, and then senior year, she had, I think, the teacher from that FIG come over and cook them pasta in their apartment because they remain good friends. So same thing, where I wish I would have checked that out going in. I would say for prospective students that are looking for advice as to what to do when you apply, or what to do even if you're a sophomore or freshman, you're thinking that far ahead, good for you. Definitely recommend, you'll notice a theme, getting involved even in high school in extracurriculars, knowing, at least out of my friends in my peer group in high school, knowing who were successful in getting in versus who were not. I noticed a trend of people that were more involved tended to have better luck, I would say, or better outcomes, because I think the university does look for not just good grades and not just a good essay, but then also, are you doing things in your community? Are you involved in sports, music, the arts? So that was always my biggest advice, is kind of getting involved in anything outside of school. Beyond that, it could be really anything, just something showing that you're learning outside of the classroom. And then for admitted students, mine is pretty similar to Logan's. I would say get involved. My freshman year, I did do Badger Volunteers, but beyond that, I really didn't do too much outside of, studying and making sure that I was keeping up with school. And I would say I wish I would have joined the things that I ended up joining just earlier. So for example, tour guide, I really enjoyed. I didn't do that till junior year, loved it. So I wish I would have at least tried it out freshman year or sophomore year. And then AK Sci I didn't do till sophomore year. And I wish given I didn't even know what AK Sci was freshman year, but I wish I would have dug around a little bit more and found those groups, and this isn't just true for UW students, but what I found to be so important is finding like your group on campus, your family on campus, And what's nice about UW, I think, compared to other schools, is at other schools, it seems like you have to do one thing in order to get that group. Like some schools, you have to do Greek life. Some schools, the school that my brother went to, it's like you have to join an exclusive club, to find that group, find that family. But at UW, it really could be through Greek life, or it could be through a club. A lot of people do it through the job that they have on campus, including tour guide. A lot of people just find it on their dorm room floor that they have freshman year, or even just through the arts, through music groups. So I definitely recommend, the sooner you can find your kind of group or your family on campus, the better. And usually the best way to do that is try to find some sort of student org or some sort of job on campus that can introduce you to people. And then you have like a reason to hang out, reason to meet up, and that's when you become really good friends with people.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Brian. I think that we kind of talked about it when we had Office of Admissions on, but like the holistic review process that UW has, I think is pretty unique. And so, yeah, making sure you're a well-rounded student, I think will definitely help. So we've talked about a lot about our Badger community, like on campus. I was kind of curious, what is the Badger community like now that you're off of campus? And with that, how have you continued your Wisconsin experience?
I just speaking personally, I guess I'm very fortunate in that a lot of my friends have stuck around in the Madison area, so that's been probably the biggest part of it. Just sort of interacting with all these friends that I made during my time in college. Some of them from CAVR, some of them from student organizations, from the Daily Cardinal, from my work with the publications committee under Wood, just sort of all over the place. But I guess beyond that, it's been really exciting for me in a lot of different ways. Now that I am sort of in my field of choice and working a full-time job, within the first week or so of starting, I realized that like half of my coworkers went to UW-Madison. So just sort of finding how big that network really is. And Kylie and Brian might have different experiences just based on where they're at. And obviously that's probably going to be more heavily present in the Madison area. But I've been really, really shocked by that, and just sort of having something immediately that I can connect with those people on really made a transition from school and college to a full-time job really seamless, really easy, and really comfortable too. I felt sort of like I was not exactly the same, but to a certain extent still part of that UW-Madison community, if that sort of makes sense.
So I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning, but I do currently live in Chicago, and I was actually very surprised by how many Badgers there were around me. I would be going to a farmer's market or various like street festivals, and on a Saturday, and there would be Badger jerseys all around. And I know Chicago is not that far from Madison or Wisconsin, but I found that people in my program graduated from Madison. Wherever I go, I'd be interviewing for a job and someone is a Badger. And I guess while I was a student, I didn't realize how large the Badger community was. But, you go out there and Badgers are everywhere. They're in every field, the STEM, they're in business, they're in art, music. And I think it's just really cool to be a part of such a diverse community. And I can apply for somewhere and potentially already have a connection with someone who currently works there. And I just think that's really rewarding. But yeah, the Badger community is very large, and no matter where I go, I will find someone who graduated from UW-Madison.
Yeah, definitely agree. Even on vacations, if you're like during my junior spring break, we hiked in Tennessee, which you wouldn't expect to see a lot of Badger gear, but I was with all other UW people. And during our like day-long hike, I guarantee you we saw, I think, 20 different Wisconsin pieces of apparel and not many other colleges. Because I always think, I don't think it's that just happened to be a lot of Wisconsin people there at the same time. It's just we're so proud of going to UW, almost to a fault, at least according to other schools, that people will don their apparel whenever they get the opportunity to. Yeah, that's something that I just find really unique about UW, and we love it. I know at least my family members that went to other schools sometimes get annoyed by it, but it's because we love our experience so much. I would say for me, beyond definitely I've kept in touch with a lot of my friends from school, whether they're living in Chicago, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, or Denver, New York. Professionally, I've stayed in good touch, even though my main responsibility of work is definitely not recruiting. I've kind of taken an active role in recruiting, at least at UW, because I just think it's fun. It kind of reminds me of being a tour guide a little bit. So last fall, I got to go back to campus and actually had a very full circle moment where I was the interview greeter. So I was in our interview suites in Granger, the business school, and I got to kind of greet myself to all of the candidates and make them feel comfortable. And it was honestly so far in my, almost 1 year of working, probably my favorite day of work. It was so much fun. Just got to chill and talk to Badger candidates that were applying to Deloitte. So that was really cool. And it was really fun to be back on campus. And what you'll find is Badgers that go into their careers and join a firm or join a company are really eager to hire more Badgers because they know how well prepared the school makes you going into that job. And so I've become one of those people that is always pushing for Badgers to be hired. And I think that's one of the reasons that we have such great career fairs and such great recruiting services. And even more full circle moment is actually currently one of the people that I greeted back in the fall ended up getting an offer. He ended up accepting. And then now I'm like officially his mentor during his internship. So we actually had like a check-in yesterday. We'll have a check-in on Thursday. So now it's really cool because I've been able to see a younger Badger go all the way through that first interview, going through the interview process, being prepared for the internship, and now he's doing the internship. So that's been really cool. And then, yeah, kind of to the point of Badgers being everywhere is another relevant recent story is on Saturday, I was playing volleyball with some friends from work, most of them, I think, being from UW, and two people also joined that were just kind of like mutual friends of someone else, and they both showed up wearing Wisconsin gear. And just by seeing that, it's like, all right, not only do we have one thing in common, but we probably have like 20 things in common that we can talk about. So it's cool having that kind of Badger connection, even when you don't expect it, because you can immediately like have so many shared experiences that you can talk about for hours. And I think they're like 3 years older than me, so they weren't even my age, but that's been really cool. It's just to meet people that also went to UW and then just kind of talking about the days you spent at UW.
Yeah, awesome. I wonder if we went to the same hiking place in Tennessee, because I was at one spring break. I went to Gatlinburg with a bunch of friends.
Oh, yeah.
And we saw, that was the same thing. We noticed like all this Badger gear all the time. So I think it is like, once Badgers go on vacation, they make sure to at least pack like one thing of apparel so they can wear it.
Rep.
But yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining with me today. It was really nice to hear some perspectives from alumni students and see where you're all at now. These Ask Bucky Unfiltered webcasts get posted every Sunday. And yeah, so thank you again for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.